Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great surprise guest coming on stage next week. I don't want to tell you who it is.
Who is it?
I'm not even going to tell you who it is. We're all so excited.
I can't wait.
Right? Are you freaking out?
I'm freaking
out. You haven't seen him enough this weekend. I know, because his partner Graham has to do the same thing later. Here we are. But this is also very exciting. You use some quality time with America's sweetheart. Ladies and gentlemen, bring him to the stage like you haven't seen him for the last 72 hours. It's Rob Benedict!
Things are good?
Oh, Rich.
Oh, Rich, sorry.
It's great. It's great to see you. Are you in town just for the convention? Is there?
Yeah, just flew in, got this today, and I go back tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, things are good. Things are real good.
Well, I'm going to turn the stage over to you, my friend, ladies and gentlemen. Treat him nicely. Rob Benedict, everybody.
Thank you so much. Hi guys. How's it going? This is cool. It's weird because I have seen you all weekend, and yet I feel like we just met.
We love you anyway.
Thank you. I love you too. This has been awesome. It's been a great weekend. It's so good, so special. I know we'll be back. I know we're going to keep doing this, but there's something about this being the last season of the show and everything. It's just a special energy in the air. So I'm very appreciative of that and all of you. So.
Hi, Rob. Hi. My question is, so Death said like many seasons ago that he'd killed God, and now Billy is dead. How would that scene play out between you two?
Wait, who killed who? What?
So Death, like many seasons ago, said that he'd eventually kill God.
Oh, yeah.
And so now Billy is dead. How would that play out between you two?
Well, I mean, first of all, Shaky definitely beat me in a fist fight, and so that's scary. So I've got to come up with a new way of fighting. But you know, it's scary, and it's a scary world thinking of like God being dead. You know what I mean? I just don't like to think about that being a thing. Just I like my life. I like my still life. But yeah, no, I think it'd be really interesting. I mean, I would love to work with Lisa, and I think that's what's really exciting about this season is like there's potential of things like that coming to a head. You know, will we see that play out? I hope so in some way. You know, maybe really later in the season or something. But yeah, so I mean, I just think it would be super fun, and she's such a badass. I just would, you know, I'd love to work with her. She's also like an incredible person, so I just love to work with her because I love her. But I'd love to see how that plays out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I have a better chance of winning against Julian. And now that it's Lisa,
Yeah.
Afternoon.
Hi.
Hi. So, first I want to say that I'm quite happy that I'm apathetic agnostic.
Excellent.
Because,
No, that's all good. Cool.
But my question is, if you could travel with Bill and Ted in their what time period would you go to?
Oh, that's a good question. What time period would I go to if I could travel with Bill and Ted? In their phone booth. I don't want to go back too far because things are kind of sketchy long ago. People would like only live till like 19 or 20. You know what I mean? I know those are the times that kind of scare me. So I think maybe go back to like just like the maybe the like Roaring 20s. That'd be cool. Things seemed like they were okay, well, before the Depression and stuff. When it was still roaring. When it stopped being roaring, I'm not interested in that. So maybe like early 20s, like after World War I, but before we lost all of our money. So like 1924, maybe, and I'm doing this kind of thing in New York City. How you doing, Julie? Hey Dorothy. This is a great dance. I think that I'd really rock it. Early 1920s. The 50s also seemed kind of like bubblegum, oh gee shucks time before things got to the 60s and then they got kind of edgy. So the 50s are also cool. But I just feel like if I go back too far, like even in the 1800s, I feel like that was when they were like medicine was just iffy, you know what I mean? You broke your arm and they put leeches on you to try to fix it. You know what I mean? I don't want to go back to that and to deal with that. Or like then and if you go back to like the 1200s when like, you know, kings were like 12 years old. I know, it's just things are kind of weird then. And people, you know, like I said, people died when they're like 19. I don't know, I guess the medicine is what concerns me more than anything. But then again, it'd be kind of cool to go back to Jesus' time just to see what was going on back then. Hey, are you Jesus? So what's the deal? Is it true? I mean, I think we could answer some of those questions. It would solve us a lot of problems today. You know what I mean? I could come back and report back on what I saw. Then you go back to caveman times and then like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know. It's a really complicated question, but I'm just going to go with 1924. I think this sounds easier.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. Hi.
I was wondering what you would want God's ending to be.
Oh. Well, I mean, I like the idea of like that that you know, sort of by the end of this season, maybe I come around in my sort of wicked ways. I don't think I'm being wicked so much right now as I'm just like I'm frustrated and fed up, and so maybe I kind of I solve that dilemma, and I just find the love again, and I'm like Sam, Dean, I love you guys. We're good, bro. We are totally good. Let's just get in the Impala and drive, and the three of us just go off into the sunset, and then it kind of takes off like Grease. That's my idea. I was singing that song from Grease. Wop bam wop wop bam boo. The end.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
I saw that you and the band and Ruth are doing a cystic fibrosis fundraiser, looks like fashion show in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So I have two questions.
Yes.
Are you modeling anything?
Not that I've been told.
And part two, are you extremely excited to meet Colton, the bachelor?
Yeah, so I think you told me that. Someone just told me that Colton was going to be there.
It's on the poster.
It's on the poster, which I didn't read. Clearly, yeah, they asked me, one of the publicists from the WB, who from Warner Brothers, who represents Lucifer. I met her at Tom Ellis's wedding, and because he's a friend of mine. Anyway, we got along well, and so she was like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. A lot of the cast from Lucifer's going to be there, and would you and the band be interested in playing?" And I said, "Absolutely." You know, it's interesting. I just saw the movie 5 Feet Apart with my daughter, and it's a very touching movie, and it tells you a lot about that illness. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm just recently aware about that illness I didn't know as much about. Anyway, so I was way into doing it. I said yes. Mike Bora had a commitment, so he can't be there. So we're gonna have our friend Cooper, who plays bass with the Station Breaks. He's gonna play bass, and we'll do a small set. So very excited about that. So I was just like, yes, Lucifer, cystic fibrosis. Well, the order was like cystic fibrosis, Lucifer cast, the band, and then you just said Colton from The Bachelor, which is my favorite show, because it's the best show on TV. And Colton is going to be there, and I was like, oh my God, I'm awesome. And I get to meet him, so that'll be awesome. That'll be cool. He seems like he's a cool dude. So we'll bro out together. Oh, bro, dude. And he'll be like, bro. And I'm like, bro, dude, wow. That's the kind of conversations they have on The Bachelor. So I feel like I speak his language. So I really speak his language, so we're going to get along great. When I tell people The Bachelor is my favorite show, they like to judge. And I'm just telling you, I just want you to know that I know it's a bad show. It's not a good show. And for the most part, there are a lot of people on the show that are not good people. But it's just so funny. It's just there's something about it. It's so funny. I mean, if you think about TV in terms of like, I just want to unwind for 2 hours every Monday and Tuesday, sometimes 3 hours. I mean, it's such a pain. But because now I do a podcast with a comedian friend of mine. It's her podcast, and she invites me to do like every other one. And so now it's become my job. I have to watch it to go to the podcast, and we laugh about it. But it's just so funny. But it's hard to get people to watch it with you. My kids are like, I don't make me. Thank you.
I wouldn't.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's my drama line. I love you, loud and shine, great. No, that's not that. Anyway, Colton was a contestant on the show, and he's gonna be in this thing, so that's gonna be great, dude, bro, dude. Wow. So, okay.
We can talk about jumping fences and crying.
Totally. I'll tell you all about it.
Please do.
Okay, I will. I know a lot of you, I lost a portion, you were like, wow, I liked him and now I don't so much. So just stay in your seats, I'll bring you back.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
I was wondering if Station Breaks or Loud Swing are working on any new music?
Well, so this is what's happening. So I go in these phases where I write a lot of songs and then record them, and I'm not writing, I'm in sort of recording mode and then playing mode. But starting around Christmas, the end of last year, I started writing, and now I've got like 35 songs, and I'm like sorting through, putting them into groups. And there's a Loud and Swaying group, there's a Station Breaks group, and there's another group that could be a Rob Bendick solo album group. So, yeah, even saying that out loud, I'm like, okay, good, now I've got to do it. So now I'm just like, the next stage is sending demos out to the guys, and then having them go, ooh, I like this one, or let's work on this, or, and then we can start getting together and recording. So we're sort of getting there. I think we're about at the stage where we need to go back into the studio, and it's kind of up to me to go, okay guys, let's get motivated, let's do this. So I just need to send them out. I've kind of just been holding on to them like a creep, and I need to give them out to the world. And the solo album part is the part that's really exciting and scary, but I've been wanting to do that, and I think it's going to be this sort of different thing. But and it's all a lot of work, so I always have to get the time to do it. But I'm super excited. I wrote, there are 2 songs that I made demos of where I played all the instruments, and I'm doing this convention in New Zealand in October, and there's a guy there that's like, hey, he's done it for Jason, he's like, I do these limited edition vinyl prints of stuff, and for Jason, he's like, so if you have any songs that no one's ever heard recorded, I could put it on vinyl and do a limited edition thing. So I sent him 2 of my demos. There's just me recorded. I sent it to him, so he printed it out. So they're going to have it in New Zealand. I'll grab some so I can bring it back and share it with you. But it's this limited edition vinyl of 2 of my new songs, with just 2 songs, like one on each side kind of thing. So anyway, so that's a start. But yeah, I'm very excited. These songs are really exciting to me, so very, very soon we'll get the process going.
Well, I look forward to hearing it.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
Continuing on the music theme, I had Loud and Swing on my shuffle this morning when I was getting ready, and the original recording of She Waits came on, And it struck me how different that recording is to what we hear at the conventions and at your other shows. When did that sort of transition into, because the original recording is sort of more laid back.
Yeah.
It's a lot softer, and the newer performances of it has a lot deeper, like, I'm feeling
Emotion,
this, I have
yeah.
this emotion.
Yeah.
Is that because of response from everybody, like, at conventions, or what changed to playing the original recorded version to this more?
Yeah, I think with that one, songs in general change with live performances. There are so many of our songs, I go back and listen to the original recording, like, oh wow, it's just grown up, it's changed, because the more you sing it, it's like if you see a live play at the beginning of a run, and then you see it towards the closing, it changes. As you do something over and over again, you kind of find new things in it. I think that's natural, but with that song in particular, I think I brought it in, and it was just me playing guitar, and I think the guys at first weren't quite sure where their parts were, because it's a song that it didn't have a clear vision in terms of what they were going to be doing. I remember Norton in particular, we kind of had to do this big drum thing at the end, but it felt a little flat. So I don't think that we had fully realized what the song was when we recorded it. So the emotion was there, but it just wasn't fully realized. But we liked it enough, and we loved the tune, the melody, to record it, put it on the album, but I just don't think it was completely fully realized. And I think later, it kind of, I don't know, I think that one in particular matured through playing it for this audience, playing it for you guys. I remember that would be my go-to. I'd play by myself, and I remember very specifically. There's a YouTube thing of it, but like the day that I had my stroke, someone asked me to sing, and I just sang the chorus of that song, and it was like this amazing moment where the audience was all quiet, and it was like on a Sunday, and I was well at the time, and there's something about it that's just kind of frozen in time, because that night I had this stroke, and it was life-changing. So I always go back and look at that video, because I'm fascinated with the fact that wow, my brain was okay there, Anyway, so just stuff like that, then it's just oh my God, now the song has this other sort of emotional meaning for me. If I get back to that, was what it was for me for a long time. And then I go through phases where you kind of rediscover why you wrote the song in the first place, or emotions that I have that have been present since I was 12 years old that are in that song, And that's all I think, because I'm playing for you guys, there's an emotional thing that happens where I just kind of open up, and people have been so receptive to when I do that. And it makes me feel safe, It's like if you're talking to your friend, and they're like, hey, you can say whatever you want. You're like, okay, well, And anyway, so that song in particular, really it kind of just grew with that. And I think at the same time, all the other three guys were like, oh, okay, now I get what I'm doing in this song. So I'm happy that we got to re-record it on the live album, because that's more what it is now than what the original version. So yeah, I just needed to grow up, I guess. And I grew up too.
Thank you. So back in season 4, you gave Dean some advice. Yeah, so Dean. So should we still be hoarding toilet paper?
Oh,
After it's not going to help anymore? Professional opinion.
In my professional opinion, yeah, hoard your freaking toilet paper. Because they're not going to have that when it goes down. So you got to have that. I mean, sure, water, maybe canned goods, and toilet paper. Think about that. I think that's great advice. And it's one of my favorite lines ever said. But yeah, I think you just got to hoard it. Just have a good stock ready in the garage, or the basement, or wherever you keep your emergency supplies. You're welcome. You're welcome. And when it gets to that, which I hope it never does, you can think of me.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good.
I'm wondering, what's the most emotional concert that you ever attended? One that you just kind of like felt on a spiritual level?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, let's see. Just last year, I saw Pearl Jam play in Seattle at the baseball stadium. I think it's called Safeco or something. And T-Mobile. Isn't that crazy? It's like, what was the name of that stadium? Oh, you mean Cheerios Park? Anyway, I saw them play at the baseball stadium, and that was awesome and emotional because it was their hometown, and it was at the stadium, and the whole project was a lot of the money was to benefit the homeless situation in Seattle. That was awesome, and I was kind of in a place in my life where I just kind of needed that, and it kind of lifted me up. Another one that I went to that was really cool was just a couple months ago. I saw Paul McCartney play Dodger Stadium, which is awesome. I had never seen him before, and I just love the Beatles. And I went with my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, and he was bawling the whole time. It was like so emotional, just because you spend your whole life listening and influenced by this guy. And like, there he is, there's Paul McCartney right there. That was awesome. And another one that comes to mind is I saw Wilco like 8 years ago. Yeah, and it was right after Jeff Tweedy had gotten out of rehab, and he had to cancel a show at Coachella, and then the next year they played. And I saw them at sunset, and it's Coachella, which is just a groovy place. It's just groovy, right? And the sun is setting, and flags are flying, and there's artwork and all this cool stuff. And he was back after rehab and sober, and talked about it. And he's really funny too. And I just love that band. I love him, and I just that really, really, really moved me. I was like, oh, this is one of those situations like I talked about yesterday. It's like, I don't want this moment to ever end. This is such a great moment. I'm always going to remember this moment. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Hi there.
What's your favorite song?
What?
What's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song?
Yeah.
What's your favorite song?
January.
January by Loud and Swing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're awesome. You know it? You're really cool. I saw you last night during the show a lot. Did you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at you. You're awesome. Right, I'll think about my favorite song. I'm going to give you a hug. You're so sweet. Okay, what's my favorite song? My favorite song right now. My kids make me listen to like the pop radio a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. You know that song Bad Guy? You ever heard that song? By what's her name? Billie Eilish. Yeah, that's what all the kids are listening to. And I'm like one of the only late 40s guys who listens to it. That's pretty cool. I also like January. January is a cool song. Makes you feel cool when I sing it. And, and the other song is my favorite song. I don't know. I like so much music. I listen to a lot of different stuff. But yeah, I guess I'll just go with Billie Eilish because that's kind of the cool thing to say these days. But I agree with you. I think January is pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. He's like my new favorite person. Yeah, my daughter really loves the Billie Eilish. I was like, okay, so play me the Billie Eilish so I can really know what this is. I remember the first time she came from, I was like, okay, wow, I really felt old. I just felt so old. I didn't dislike it. But I just like, it's not, I had to really go, okay, all right. Right, yeah. But I like how much kids that age really like her, and she seems like a cool, decent human being. And that's all I have to say about that.
Hello.
Hi.
So my question is, in season 11, in the episode All in the Family, when you're just hanging out in the bunker, like eating and watching things, I don't know if you know what was on the laptop that you were watching, but it was like curling, the sport of curling, and like I'm super into curling, so I was just wondering like where that came from. Like, I was so happy when I saw that.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't think that was in the script. I mean, in the script that he was watching something. But then I think sometimes the department that puts things on the computer screens, I can't remember which department that is. That you guys? Playback. Well, anyway, they put that on there, and that could have been their idea. They're always so creative and put really cool stuff on there. So yeah, no, this is fun for me to be able to play with, whatever's on there. But you love the curling, huh? Yeah, it's wild. It gets really exciting. I saw a live curling game. Is it game? What is it, game? Tournament?
Like the stone along the ice with
Match.
the sweeping brushes.
I saw a live curling match and I was like jumping out of my seat. It really is. And I wish, I think if I were in the Olympics, I think I could maybe be on a curling team. Because you don't have to know how to skate, you slide, right? And I'm really good with the broom. But I can also be this guy. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I know, I thought about that. As soon as I went down, I was like, oh, please don't hurt me.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
Hope you're enjoying your weekend.
Thank you, and you too.
Oh, I definitely am.
Oh, good.
This is my first Supernatural convention.
Excellent.
And even though I've only seen up to season 12, so I'm getting lots of spoilers. So it's like, hey, is that an airport behind me? I do not regret it. I absolutely love being here.
Good.
Friday night when you opened up the stage for the opening, it was a very surreal moment to me. It kind of reminded me of that one episode, the convention episode. Do you get flashbacks of that? And if Supernatural was to touch base back on that, would it be as that small sort of like little tight-knit group, or would it be vast like this ever-growing family?
That's a good question. I do think about that a lot. Especially, I used to think about it more when I first started doing conventions, because I was about as nervous as Chuck is in that scene from the convention episode. The other weird thing is, when that episode aired the night before my very first convention.
Wow.
So it was so weird. Like, I watched me on TV doing the convention, then I walk out of my hotel room and go downstairs, and I'm doing that same thing in real life. And I'm literally doing the same thing, kind of shaking, holding water. It was the same thing happening, so it was bizarre. There are a few more people in the room in Chicago when I did this. It was in Chicago. And definitely there were more women than in the TV version. So that was different. And nobody died. But I think now, if we visited another Chuck Shirley or Carver Edlund convention, I think it would still be that kind of oddball, kind of smaller, more humble convention. First of all, he's really the only celebrity there. He's not great with people. He's awkward. I think, so I think that would be, now that he's out about being God, that actually might put more people in seats. So I think if they advertise it as hey, Carver Edlund, aka God, everybody, you might get more people. But if they don't do it, they're just like Carver Edlund, the writer of those books, who kind of has disappeared for a while. It may be kind of tough to get people in the room. But I'd like to see it. But I always love that. I always love the idea that and even still, he's this guy that writes these books, Supernatural, that have a small little fandom, kind of led by his ex-girlfriend, Becky.
That's there's the looming threat of Dean and Sam.
There's that. And of course now, I gotta lay low. So, you haven't gotten there yet, but remember me from season 11, because that's that guy, huh? Thank you for your question. Yeah, remember the singing God, the donut eating, fun-loving. Things happen at the end of 14, and you'll get there. And so I think right now it's best I lay low. Let the drama pass before I have another convention.
Hey, I was actually going to ask another question, but now I want to ask a follow-up question. Oh, wait, first I wanted to say, you mentioned Paul McCartney, and that it was like so amazing to see him because he's influenced you and your brother-in-law in your life. That was my experience with you.
Oh, wow, thank you.
And my question was, because I've heard Alice Bring It In and Trust Your Gut, and I was wondering if you could tell us on which album those would end up, like Station Ready for Yours or...
Oh, which songs?
Bring It In and Trust Your Gut.
Oh, yeah. So there's a song that I played in Europe called Bring It In, and there's another song called Trust Your Gut that I just played once, I think, in Rome. I think Trust Your Gut is just a Rob Benedict song. I feel like it's weird I just saying my name in the third person. That sounds weird. I feel like that's a solo album song. But Bring It In, I think maybe is a Loud and Swain song. But we'll see. I mean, a lot of it depends on seeing where, like throwing it at the wall and see where it sticks. Because Gone, the song Gone, which is a Station Break song, was a song I wrote for Loud and Swain, and they're like, not so much that. They just they didn't run to it. And so it kind of got left on the side. And I just always had it in my back pocket. Like 10 years later, I was like, hey, Jason, what do you think of this? He's like, I think that's great. So then I wound up with the Station Break song. So I think I will first bring it to Loud and Swain and see if they like it, and go from there. Because I like when a song makes them go, ooh, I know what I'm going to do. This is great. It could be that, then that excites me. But if they're like, and then they go back to the TV or whatever, then it's maybe not the song. Definitely, it's not a good song at all. But Trust Your Gut is a very personal song, so I feel it just feels like right now it feels like a solo album song. I gotta maybe think of a name for my solo self that's not like Rob Benedict. I don't know, like Flash McGee. So, Rob Benedict is Flash McGee. Anyway, so stupid. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
And I also just wanted to say that Bring It In really hit me personally because the lyrics were just so fitting to my situation. So.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's gonna for sure wind up on our next album. So, thank you. The Bring It In also is one of the demos I sent to the guy who's going to put things on vinyl. So, I'll grab one of those so you can have that song. It'll be on there. Yeah, maybe do like a bootleg demo of it. Just pass it out. Hi.
Hi, Rob. I was just wondering if you had the opportunity in the future to play any superhero, Marvel, DC, already played, yet to be played, who would you want to play first?
Wow. I mean, gosh, that's such a great question. It's heavy. So it could be someone else has already played, because all the good roles have already been done. I mean, I think just in terms of my physical self, like I'm not gonna play Thor, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that, man. But maybe Iron Man. I can have that swagger. And just put me in that suit, man, and I can light it up. So I think Iron Man.
Just a personal note, he is my favorite superhero.
Oh, sweet! That was the right answer. I confetti from the sky.
Any answer is right, but that was a good one.
Oh, excellent. Good. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I feel like we really did it.
Hi,
Hi.
So, talking about this twist at the end of season 14, which I won't go into detail about for this guy. Did you know that was coming, and is it something that you wanted or liked for your character?
I'm trying to think when I knew it was coming. Not really. I mean, I knew I was coming back at the end of last season. But I knew very late in the game what the subject was and what I was going to be doing. Sometimes we're kind of the last to know. You get the script just a couple weeks before you start shooting, you know. And my first thought when I read it was like, oh, people are going to be pissed. This ruins my whole brand. But I have to say, as an actor, it's super cool and fun to play. It's just fun to play something that, first of all, is unlike yourself, to take a turn like that. As somebody who's a pretty sort of sensitive, sometimes insecure kind of person, yeah, it's fun to put that suit on. You know what I mean? To play that kind of choice, to make that choice. And especially because Chuck as God has been sort of kind of almost ambivalent, and you know, it's season 11. He's kind of laissez-faire. That was his MO, and now he's kind of like making a stance, and I kind of like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, it's definitely it threw me. It was a curveball, that's for sure. But the other cool thing is, I actually think it's pretty genius what they're doing, what they're setting up, because it's the end of the show. The end is coming. We know it's coming. So something pretty drastic has to happen, and I think, you know, to have the character of God come in and be like, all right, that's it, I'm done. You know, pulling the plugs. You know, it's an interesting way to set up this final season. So I'm just excited to see where it's going to go from here.
But I thought it was amazing, so thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, I'm excited just as an actor. It's super fun to play, and the writing on the show is so good, always. Right after it aired, I did a con in Paris, and I came out on stage and people booed. They meant it fun, and of course I took it very personally, but super sensitive. But the point is, it was all in sort of, jest. I think Pellegrino would get booed. I mean, the bad guys, sometimes get booed, but I just wasn't ready for like, wait, what? But now I really kind of embraced it. It's super, it's fun. And this is the kind of show where when you're playing the bad guy, they kind of give you juicy stuff to do. So again, I'm just kind of excited to see where it goes. And the boos have subsided, so that's good. Thank you for that.
I saw it last night that we worked a rock song. Yes. That got my soul.
Oh,
that
awesome.
was beautiful. I sure.
Thank you.
The question is, with literally all hell breaking loose this season, I'm immensely concerned that Chuck may finally take the time to mess with the Impala. I'm hoping he doesn't. He's entirely too afraid of Dean and how ballistic he would go if he does. Do you think that's something Chuck would mess with?
I mean, I think that would be just cold-hearted. I don't think he's that evil. Even God understands a good automobile. That's an antique.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't mess with baby.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I have no control over that. So, from my lips to the writers.
Oh, I work in the industry. I know how this works. My daughter has screamed at me, I don't know how many times, on her favorite characters on different shows. We kill loves like, dude, I have nothing to do with the writing.
Exactly.
It's not my fault, but I still get it.
Yeah.
I know. You just gave me a little bit of hope.
Yeah,
so
fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good to see you.
Oh, good to see you.
The girls already answered this yesterday, but it's kind of like a 2-in-1. So my question was, what advice do you have for those wanting to go into either the film industry or the music industry?
The great thing about being an artist these days is that we have the technology that you can actually go do it on your own. Especially where music is concerned. If you want to go in the music industry, then go make music. And that's the first thing to do. And buy an Apple computer, and GarageBand is on there. You can do it. And there's, programs, drum kits, guitars. Like you can actually put a song together and do it. So I guess my advice for musicians is like, yeah, just keep making music, and that's all you can do as an artist. Make music, and the more other people. That's the thing is that doing that, you can get stuck inside. You also need to meet people, and that's also important in going into the entertainment industry. As an actor, you got to meet people. As an actor, it's trickier because it's not like as an artist, as a painter, you can paint by yourself. As a writer, you can write. As a musician, you can play. But as an actor, you don't just like do monologues in a mirror. You need something to do. But again, technology is such as like you can write something for yourself. You can take a play and go do a play with your friends. You can record it, throw it on YouTube. There are ways. You just have to be proactive, but do it. Sitting in the room all day going like, can I do this? This is a good idea. Isn't going to get you anywhere. But if you go out and you do it and then show it to people. Once you've done it, if you're happy with it, play it for people or show it to people. Put it on for people. Because, like, I wrote these 35 songs, but it doesn't mean anything if I don't get them out there, Or maybe my choice is, like, I don't want them out there. But if you want to go further, you really do need to play them for an audience or to show an audience. So just do. And give it a shot, right? Because you never know. You never know. And if you go on in life and you never give it a shot, it's going to eat at you. So, just do it. Take an acting class. Meet people that way. As a musician, I always learn from playing with people that are better than me. Find someone who plays guitar better than you and have them teach you stuff. Like Billy does for me all the time. As an actor, I've learned so much just working with actors that knew more than I did. I did a lot of theater when I was younger and learned so much. So, I guess that's my advice. Just do it, even on a small level. Get it out there. I hope that helps.
Hey Rob, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. I live in Toronto, and I go to TIFF every year.
Oh, cool.
And I went years ago when you had 5 minutes there. I was part of the show program, which was great.
Awesome.
And I wanted to know how you got connected with that project, and if you're looking to do other projects similarly in the future.
So Justine Bateman, who wrote and directed that, her and I did a staged reading of the play Biloxi Blues, in 2011 or something, in LA, and we just both were cast in this thing, and we just got along well. Like sometimes when you meet somebody and you're just like the same things make you laugh and you just giggle the whole time. That's what it was like. So we just kind of kept in touch because we just made each other laugh, and then she called me out of the blue. I was actually at a convention and she called me, she's like, hey, I've got this project I'd like to send you. I'd love you to play this guy in this short film, and I loved it. It came from it's a true story. Somebody that she knew, and I just loved it. I loved the idea, and then so we did it, and then it got into Toronto, and I went there. I wasn't there for the screening, but I went there for sort of like premiere parties or something. It was really cool. And then she just directed her first feature film with Olivia Munn as the star, and she had me do a part in that. So I worked a few days on that film just a couple weeks ago. So yeah.
Would you be looking to do maybe the short type film, or would you be looking to do features in the future?
What's the question again?
Would you prefer short film, or do you prefer feature?
Well, I mean, I love short film, and I wrote a short film that I produced called The Sidekick a few years ago. Yeah. So I love that. I love that genre. Yeah, I love packing a punch with a short film. I love it. But in general, I'm drawn to the idea of features just because it can pack a bigger punch. And the thing about most short films don't get seen unless you see them at a festival, or the lucky ones that get nominated for an Academy Award or something.
Yeah, that's the best part of TIFF, is seeing all those great shorts that sometimes become features, which is great.
Exactly. It's a great stepping stone.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I just like to work, so I'll do whatever, but I like features. I like going to the theater and seeing a big feature film. That's That's the ultimate.
When I was going through the program, I was looking at the shorts and I saw your name and I thought, is that the same Rob that I know from TV? And it, of course, was. So it was exciting to see you on there. I also saw Catherine Newton in 3 Billboards the day after, so it was very weird.
Oh, that's awesome.
But very fun. It was a great performance.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yeah, it was fun to be at the Toronto Film Festival. Like, the city shuts down for that film festival, so it's fun to be there. Yes, my last question.
Hi, Rob. Nice to meet you.
You too.
My question is around the character of God.
Yeah.
So sorry, spoilers for some people who haven't seen it. Where do you position the character of God between God/child playing with toys and an actual God who is actually giving free will to its creations?
Very heavy. And of course,
End on a laugh. That's my motto.
Gosh, I don't know. I can only give you my opinion. I mean, because I don't write it, but in playing the role of Chuck, I see it kind of somewhere in between. Sometimes he does behave kind of like a petulant child, but lately I see him less as a child, kind of like having fun and not caring about what people think, just to more being like a kind of a stubborn, creative person. Who's like, oh, okay, oh, I really like this. Is great. No, I'm done with that. This is, oh yeah, no, this is good. And then the people that he's going this, they're going like, hey, we're real people. You can't just, So it's like he's sort of like almost like more mad scientist, or just like kind of creative person who's like kind of gets bored with one project and then he goes works on another project. So I think less child and maybe more that. In terms of free will, yeah, gosh, I say go for it. And I think the way you live your life, you live your life as if there is free will, and let's hope that is what's happening. Thank you so much.
Well, how was it?
It was great. Okay, great. You're gonna love it.
People make their own answer up, okay?
Thank you guys.
The last guest. He was great. He was engaging and
Not like me.
no, totally different. It's weird. I've never seen you two in the same room together. Right? Anywho, next to the stage